25 handicap, looking to work on some swing mechanics in the off season. Great time to make these big changes in the swing, and I know how difficult it is with the inconsistencies of striking when going through some swing changes. So you've questioned your setup. I think you're fine where you are. Each swing that you've included here has a lot of similarities between the setups, so I don't think we're going to worry too much about that. If we get our primary path line up on this first swing here, we're going to see that your initial movements in the backswing are pretty stable. Your hips are turning. You are beginning to work that left shoulder tilt down in the backswing to a Golf Tech Tour average of about 36 degrees is what they're looking for. You will hit that number early as you're turning and getting a lot of rotation out of the backswing. And with this first one, you're gonna, like you said, just overextend a bit. Things get a little bit long, and what was a pretty well tilted top of the backswing is now less tilted. And it could be from your efforts to try to shallow that club at the top, but what we're going to come to find out is that your lower body is sabotaging your swing. Your upper body might be trying to do a lot of the right things, but you don't simply have enough space provided by the lower body to help you out. So what's going to happen is you're going to end up working that club in a much more downward angle of attack, hitting the crown of that driver and popping that ball straight up. So it's at least on that one, a angle of attack issue hitting too far down. And if we quickly try to analyze a setup change between the first swing here and the second swing, it does appear that you're trying to tilt more behind the ball here in the second one. So awareness of that angle of attack seems to be there. We'll see from a face-on view of a Tour Pro what to work on, but again, similar takeaway, left shoulder's tilting down, body's turning, club's getting behind you. This swing is a little bit longer, I'd say, and I would, again, see the shallowing effort. Really stop getting shallow as your hips are not clearing the space. Club stays much more over the top on this one and is going to bang right off the heel. So we've got an angle of attack issue. We've got a hand path issue, both, again, stemming from this hip sway, which is your hips sliding off the ball, putting your weight to the back foot. That is, without correction, not allowing you to complete the shallowing of the club, getting that path to work more in to out on the way through. Your hands have to then shallow, get steep, and then next thing you know, you're over the top and cutting across the ball in your follow through. Now on to the third video. Not much difference here, but if we're trying to do a couple things at least quickly, setting up on the heel side of the club when you're hitting it there is not ideal. Give yourself a little bit more space, give yourself a toe bias. A lot of these new drivers are much better when hit on the toe side than on the heel side. So if you do nothing else, just get a more toe bias strike and it will have some nice auto correction effects on your ball flight. But we'll get that path line up here again. And what I want to include here is a rear end line to see if there's early extension. Now again, you're making some really amplified moves here on this one. Hips are clearing open early, tons of left shoulder tilt down, probably well beyond where you need in that backswing, but feel out that move, I don't mind it. You're going to get really flat and shallow here to the top, things get long, keep turning, hips still sway off the line, but then as you start transferring back down, club might try to get back down on the path. You're not really standing too much out of the shot, but your legs are extending and you're, like I said, not getting much of that rotation or clearance of the hips. So what do we do about this? We don't have your swing from the face on to talk about it, but we do have a Tour Pro who amplifies these points here. It's Bryson DeChambeau from the face on view. And not to discuss much of the long drive aspects about this swing, this is in the hit the ball as far as possible stage of his career where things are just absolutely letting loose. But there's a couple points I think you can take away from this. One, starting with that tilt behind the ball with both the upper body and shoulders. It's a very powerful position that helps with that upward angle of attack through strike. Starting there is one thing. Maintaining that position to the top is another thing. What allows Bryson to get that full rotation is a couple things. One, that back leg is fully extending and almost pushing his hips reverse towards target. Let's watch that again as we play here with a line on the right hip. let me catch my breath as we start. Initially maybe moving the weight back a little bit, but then that push off that back foot is going to pivot his hips and push his right cheek towards target. That's rotating his hips back, yet keeping his weight centered. There's a ton of pressure back there, but it's not shifted. It's not swayed. He hasn't moved his hips back behind the ball. And when he does that, when the hips displace this way, the shoulders can rotate behind and get a huge full rotation. That movement there, again, allows that club to drop from the inside as the hips will clear out of the way and give him some room for those arms and hands to get in here tight with that trail elbow, as you see, tucking in. Club will work inside and up. That upward into out type of path is for the bombers. It's to get that high launch with low spin. Great recipe for hitting the ball nice and long off the tee. So let's circle back over to you one more time, get that last swing going up here again. And if we get more tilt behind the ball, we should see that this movement of the hips shouldn't really put all that weight planted flat here on that back foot. You should instead try to really push that right cheek straight toward target. Work it more behind you. Feel like someone's pulling your right pocket towards your target. It's a really awkward move, but it should play into this tilting backswing that you're trying to get into. And then with the hips more towards target, they'll be again pushed more in a direction this way. There'll be space for those arms and hands to continue their path that they like to start doing down from the inside. From there, a ton of different things can happen with the club face and with the direction, but I will assume that you'll get your path a little bit more into out, and if you stay tilted behind the ball, it will also work more upward to get rid of those pop-ups high on the face. Happy to follow up with any questions, and if you want to send in a face-on video as well to do a quick follow-up. Good luck with those changes. Sendaswing.com.